You know, I do okay. It's not too bad. Could be worse. Yeah, I'm not upset about anything. You know, we did a... By the way, that's not me. Not by far. I'm like alive and on fire, but more on that in just a moment. So in yesterday's Feel It Real Fun show, your manifesting questions answered live on the 18th of March. We had a really good letter show up. We took it from a post in the Law of Attraction by Neville Goddard group. God, I went on Facebook the other day. It seems like everyone's putting up a Neville Goddard group now. I tend to join about 5 or 10 a week, and I tend to leave about 10 or 12 a week. I don't know what the fuck they're teaching, but it ain't Neville. But meanwhile, let me just toss some things into you. Ready? Probably the state that the experience that it's okay. My life's all right. In the post, she put it just right. It was like beige. They say men with low testosterone. This is scientific now, right? People have proven this. Whatever that means. That men who have low testosterone, they're okay. That's all right. Yeah, we had sex last year. I'm making okay living. Drinking me a beer. Could be worse. You see, I'm not a fan of okay. I'm not a fan of, I love the way she put it in the post. Beige. Scientific studies, whatever the fuck that means, right? I read this stuff and I just go, rightio, but I find it cool because they confirm some things I've noticed with clients over the past 30 years. Gray. It's gloom and doom. It's like storm clouds are overhead. Literally, that's a real internal experience for some people. They see less color and they see more gray. Shades of gray versus all these different colors of green. The sun's just beginning to come up here. Oh my God, you cannot imagine my delight. Because when the sun's coming up, I can tell there's light and dark out there. Then I can tell there's shades. And then I can tell there are colors. Then I can tell there's different kinds of green. Did you know the human eye can pick up more shades of green than any other color? I learned that from Fargo. Could be true. Now here's the cool thing, guys. Here's what is true. At some point, you're going to have an event. There's going to be an incident. You're going to decide, I've had enough of Mediocreville. Genius is self-bestowed. Mediocrity is self-inflicted. And I'm not putting anyone down. Believe me. I spent more parts of my life being mediocre than most people can imagine. Because I was just okay. It's all right. Making the bills. It's all right. I'm not really excited about nothing. It's all right. I will no way, there's no way I can say I've spent the majority of my life that way. But growing up, that was the majority of my life. That was when I was much younger. They say youth is squandered on the young. Here's what I notice. I'm going to be 56 in a couple weeks. I'm just getting started. That's all I got to say. What's your excuse? Is it a number? Some people say I'm too old. Some people say I'm too fat. Some people say I'm too broke. Some people say I'm too skinny. I'm going to say you're making too many excuses. There's the excuse that you notice. There's the excuse that you don't. And I'm going to say you're making too many because you're probably noticing one and missing the other. Listen to those birds. Years ago, when I lived in the United States of America, I taught a program we called Scout Camp. It had nothing to do with the Boy Scouts. It had everything to do with Native American philosophy and technology. And one of the things that I taught back then, was the language of the birds. And one time a fella came in for scout camp and he rented me for the whole week after. And so we stayed in this little yurt in the woods. It was lovely. And every day we'd go out and we'd track things and we'd listen to birds. We'd be up before the sunrise so that I could teach Simon all these cool little things. So we could settle in and just watch and listen. And I could point out things. And at one point Simon goes, Mr. 20, I have a question to ask you. This is a little awkward. I'm like, yeah, go for it. He said, do you have any colorful birds in the United States? And we'd just been looking at a blue jay. We'd seen cardinals, right? They're red, they're blue. Robins tend to be black mostly. They're those little other things that have some yeller feathers on them. And I said, you've seen colorful birds? He's like, okay. So we have different birds in Australia. And that planted a seed. I gotta admit, way back then, that little morning when Simon and I were crouched next to a little tree, hiding among some little birches, and I started to ponder the birds of Australia. Would the language be the same? I would assume it would be, even though I don't know the birds, I know what they're saying. Even though I don't know you, I know what you're imagining. If you reach out, I can tell by your email. I can look at your Facebook timeline, all that stuff. Here's the thing. You can't hide. Middle of the road is middle of the road. That's not where you want to drive your car. I love Jim Rohn's Girl Scout cookie story. Or when he says, basically, I was too poor to buy Girl Scout cookies, and he lied to the little girl at the door. He said, I love Girl Scout cookies. I just bought a bunch of Girl Scout cookies. My kitchen's full of Girl Scout cookies. And the little girl got all excited and thanked him and left, and he just realized he lied to a Girl Scout. He was too mediocre. Yeah, he was mediocre to the point where he lied to a Girl Scout. He wasn't miserable with his existence. He was mediocre about it until that point. You see, you don't have to hit bottom. Write this down. Don't wait to hit bottom. A lot of people do that. A lot of people are waiting to hit bottom. Right? That's called the addiction path. Waiting for something to happen. I wait to feel confident about women until I drink a couple beers. I wait to feel good until I have a bump. I wait to change until I hit bottom. You don't have to hit bottom. You get to crouch low. That's a voluntary act. You Triple D people know what I'm talking about. At any time, you can make up your mind. You can change your mind, literally. You can, right now, decide enough is enough. See, some people, they wait, and they wait, and they wait, and that's a state. It's the state of wait. Stop it. I can promise you. By the way, if you get a chance, look at Ego's post today about getting into her second dream-driven day. That's actually quite impossible. But it actually happened. And there's some little things that happen behind the scenes. I'm not going to go into detail there. But here's the thing, guys. As soon as you settle, as soon as you're okay, I'm okay. I mean, I could be worse. I mean, look at those kids in people tell me stories. You know, Mr. 20, it could be worse. We could be the people in, yep. See, here's my thing. Ready? How do you really want to live today? By the way, you'll notice this is not a crass commercial for Dream Driven Day. It's probably going to be a few months till we run that again. We just started the new one yesterday, actually today, depending upon how you look at when the sun comes up and when the sun goes down. But we got a full crew now in Dream Driven Day. We'll do the next one in a couple months. We've got some other programs coming up. We're going to be releasing good, fun stuff. Because here's the thing. I want you to have a fun day. So many people, they've forgotten how to play. Honest to God, I do get too many emails that say, what do you mean by play? What do I mean by play? So here's what I want you to do. If you got gold today, share this. That's called a challenge. Find a way to share this. I've posted on my personal Facebook timeline. It'll be at NevilleGoddardPodcast.com. You can share it there. If you can't share this, share something of ours. Because that just might stretch you a tiny bit. If you already share something of ours, share something else. Because I've got a super secret agenda. More playtime, more playmates. I divorced time from dollars years ago. Then I discovered something. There's no one to play with. They're all working. Triple D, Lesson 1, we talk about work. Doing something now for a payday later. Nothing wrong with getting paid. I'd rather you have fun now and have fun later. I'd rather you do something now. See, my imagined acts are to experience something now. And I also get to experience something later. How cool is that? I get to imagine the thrill of getting your emails and get them. And I use that as a way to imagine that I put out a crushing podcast. Because if I put out a crushing podcast, I'll get an email from you. From someone. Someone will sign up. Someone will just say thanks. Change your experience on the inside, and the outside experience changes. Change your imaginal experience, and your physical, your mental, your emotional experiences all change. Let that cook your noodle. Dive deeper. If you got gold today, if you realize we are not just saying what everyone else is saying, we're actually exploring all kinds of cool shit. And if you want to adventure and if you want to explore, join us in ManifestingMasteryCourse.com. That's ManifestingMasteryCourse.com. 90 days of play, $97. They tell me a cup of coffee now is going up to like $7 in the US. Radio, so I can't say it's like a cheapo cup of coffee anymore. I can say it's like half a donut, half a cheap donut. $97, 90-day program. You do the math. That's like $1 a day. Do you think you and your life are worth it? Or do you got to wait till a cup of coffee is $40 to imagine up something differently? See, I'm not a fan of waiting to hit bottom. I'm a fan of deciding when and where do I want to bounce around. I'm more like Tigger. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. Be like Tigger. Have some fun. Join us in ManifestingMasteryCourse.com. See ya.